In my kitchen, I have pictures of the two of them together from very young, and the last one that I've got up is where they're sitting on the bench at the Davis Cup, having just won the doubles. And they're like giving each other a little nudge, and they're looking at each other like, we're going to win this tie, or we're going to win this Davis Cup. And it's just, so you know, you look at the one picture and they're like age 2 and 3 in the back garden with Wimbledon t-shirts, and then you see them together, and it's just, that is when I look at those two sort of pictures together that I think, I can't believe they did that.
It's interesting that because Scotland didn't have a deep history of tennis, and you didn't have somebody who gave the strokes, you know, the mechanics, the technique, tactics that was your strong suit. It had to be, I guess, by design. I mean, when you played, didn't you have to? Again, how many indoor courts were there in Scotland when you were a kid?
Oh, none.
None. How many are there now?
112. Tennis is a tiny sport in Scotland. We have terrible weather and hardly any indoor facilities, so nobody. You know, there's no track record of success in tennis. It's kind of like a summer sport, more or less. And I was never coached when I was young, so I learned to play the game by playing the game with my parents. And I'd been a decent tennis player in Scotland, but because I've been coaching for 25 years, I completely understand. I understand kids, I understand the demands of our game, and I know how to teach. So I started out when my kids were toddlers as a volunteer at our local club. So when my kids were small, it was all about how do you make it difficult for your opponent? How are you going to win? That's what it all was. They never got caught up in grips and things. I mean, Andy played double-handed like Santoro on both sides when he was little, and I thought, no, just he'll find his way eventually. Just leave him to it. But he has wonderful skills and great court craft. But I think it's as simple as that. I taught him to play the game by playing the game with him.
At what point in the development of your boys did you recognize that they needed coaching separate from you as a coach and as a mother?
They were sort of 12 and 13. I realised that, well, one, it's more important to be the mum than it is to be the coach. And it can be quite stressful coaching your own kids, and it's not really that cool to be coached by your mum. But at that time, I was the Scottish national coach, so I was responsible for loads of kids, and not just my two. And I think that helped me a lot, that it wasn't just me and my kids. And I think what is interesting with the two of them is that they both got to the top of the world in the same sport, but in completely different disciplines of the same sport, because they have very different skill sets, despite being brothers who came up in largely the same way.
When you were dreaming your dreams of your boys, I mean, surely you weren't dreaming as big as they've accomplished. I mean, or maybe you were.
Andy had been training in Barcelona since he was 15. Jamie stayed on at school, finished his schooling. Andy went very quickly, actually, from that year as an 18-year-old, you know, the debut at Queen's with the wild card, and then third round of Wimbledon. Then he got wild cards into all the challengers in the States through the summer, won quite a lot of them, qualified for US Open that year, and by the end of the year he was like 64 in the world, and he'd started that year at about 530, losing in all the challengers. He went very, very quickly. And then it's like, okay, what do we need to add now? And it's fitness trainer. And then the more that the fitness trainer puts the stress on your body, now you need a physio. And it's not full-time because you haven't got the money, but you're adding little bits, and then you're adding a financial advisor and the agents and all the rest of it. So for me, my role went from learning how to coach to managing a schedule to budgeting everything and trying to find the money to pay for it all to actually managing a team of people. And I still say to him, I'm the only one in your team that doesn't get paid. Well, maybe his wife, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, I'm not here for the money.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a country with no history in tennis at all, and you know what my mum and dad were able to do for us and giving us the opportunities we needed. They did all they could to give us those opportunities, and they didn't know anything. I mean, they didn't know what they were doing, but you know, my mum was smart. She spoke to a lot of different people, and she did a great job. And you know, it is amazing what we're doing. It feels weird saying that, but it's cool to really be a part of it, and yeah, I hope it continues for a long time.
it wasn't going to happen for Jamie in singles. So, his skills were all around the net and serving, and was always much more confident as part of a team or, in a double situation. So I had to sell him the idea of, I actually can't afford, Jamie, for you to keep going on these future circuits, because I knew enough by then, if you get stuck in futures, you'd probably never get out of it. But he was winning a lot of doubles titles. And I said, let's go the doubles route. Did all the research into, what the top players could earn, to sell it to him as a concept or a business. And he went for it.
I love that your kid was pragmatic enough to understand what you were telling him and say, all right, then this is where I belong. Didn't you send him to France as a kid because you knew sending him to Barcelona with Andy wasn't going to work out?
Yeah, because Andy had been training in Barcelona since he was 15. Jamie stayed on at school, finished his schooling, and I thought he was going to go to American University. That was, it was kind of all set up. And then he just changed his mind. He went, Mum, I don't want to go. I want to be a tennis player. And I went, because then it's like, oh my God, it was such a struggle to find the finance for Andy to be in Barcelona. And I thought, and you can't say no to one and the other one has the chance. So there you go, borrow the money. So now we need to find a doubles coach for you, somebody who can really help you. And I found this guy called Louis Caillé. Amazing guy, and I watched him coaching at Monte Carlo Masters. I approached him in the hotel that evening, and I said, look, I'm Judy Murray. I said, I have a son who plays tennis. He says, yes, I know, Andy. And I went, no, I have a son called Jamie, and I think he could be a really good doubles player, but I need somebody to help him. So he gave me an idea of cost, and I thought, this is going to clean me out. And I said to Jamie, I can do about 6 weeks, and I really was rock bottom. And this was in 2006. And I went for it. Anyway, 6 weeks came and went, and 2 weeks after the 6 weeks, Jamie made the final of ATP event in LA and lost to the Bryan brothers.
How much bigger is tennis in Scotland now? It's got to be bigger. There's got to be little kids who want to be like Andy, be like Jamie.
Every child knows who they are. They all know what tennis is. It's on the TV all the time. It's in the papers. And I, as a Scottish tennis person, would never, ever have imagined that we would be in this position.
Over on your left-hand side, if you move up to the tape, you'll see the gym hall, and you can see some of the bullet holes from here and broken windows here. If you move up to the top of the tape here, you'll get a better view.
Before the small Scottish town of Dunblane became known as the home of the Murrays, it had become famous for all the wrong reasons. In 1996, the deadliest mass shooting in Great Britain's history took place at the Dunblane Primary School. 16 young children and their teacher were murdered. An 8-year-old Andy Murray and his brother were at the school that day.
We have seen for ourselves both the enormity of the evil act that was perpetrated at the school, but also the quite extraordinary courage and resilience of the staff, of everyone connected with the school, and of the local community. This community has suffered so much, and yet there is such strength in it. There is such tremendous strength in it.
Has the reputation of that place shifted now because of what the Murray family has done?
You will never forget what happened there. It's always there, but the town has moved on incredibly well, and I think that the boys' success has helped with that somewhat, because there's so much for them to be excited about and proud about and talk about. And even things like the gold post box that went into the high street when he won at the Olympics, that brings tourist buses down now, and that has had a knock-on effect on the retailers in our small town, and that's all a great thing. It's our town, and it's what Andy still and Jamie still talk about as being home. And they don't get home very often, but they are, hugely proud of their roots and their heritage. I think the world, when they hear Dunblane now, they probably think of Jamie and Andy and happy things.
Do any of you know any famous tennis players? Who do you know?
Andy Murray.
Andy Murray. And do you know that Andy Murray went to this school? And his brother, Jamie, and I came to this school as well.
How much bigger is tennis in Scotland now? I mean, it sounds like you still have to fight the good fight.
There are loads of little kids who want to try it. The key is to giving them the chance to try it. And nowadays there's so many other things out there vying for kids' attention, especially girls, that involve music and dancing and being with their friends.
Explain to me what your thinking is with Miss Hit.
Well, Miss It is a kind of fun starter tennis program for little girls aged 5 to 8 that is delivered by female coaches or female teachers. And it was born out of my time doing Fed Cup, when I realised that for us to have any chance to become a strong female tennis nation, we have to get more girls playing and we need to have more women coaching it. But because we do quite a lot on social media with it, we've got female coaches from other countries contacting us and saying, can we get involved with this? But what I realised was that to grow the girls' game worldwide through Miss Hits, without my physical presence being there, I've now created an online course. So I thought I can have much more longer-term impact on the game if I go back and share everything that I've learned with a new workforce. And Miss Hits is just one of the programs that I'm trying to do that with, but it's obviously tackling the female coach and the girls' participation angles.
Murray wins it all. Year-end world #1.
I feel like getting to #1, it wasn't about this week, and it wasn't just about last week or, a few days here and there. It's been many years of work to get here.
More than 11 years as a professional.
It's a lifetime's work.
Yeah.
You really summed it up nicely. The ranking is based on 12 months, but getting to #1 is literally a lifetime of work, not just for him, but his whole team and his whole support system, obviously his mother, so an incredible effort.
And now your kid is #1 in the world.
Yeah.
And he's coming off of a season that had him playing. He had a very short off season, a very tight training block. I mean, isn't he exhausted?
As a parent, that's the thing that's always worried me the most, is the rest and recovery and the family and friends time. It's very difficult to get as much of that as you feel your kids should have.
Does it take too much out of you?
I have found it in the last couple of years very stressful. I think the level of expectation is enormous, I think, from the British public and the British media in particular. And I found that I haven't enjoyed it being there. I'd love to be able to enjoy it, but it just makes me feel stressed. It makes me feel nauseous. And I find it easier to not be there, but I also understand that at the bigger events, they need the emotional support as much as all the technical support that's around them. And even if I don't see him that much through a Grand Slam, he likes to know that you're there, and so does Jamie.
How many times have you gone to Buckingham Palace now to watch your sons being honored?
Twice. So they both have OBE.
Order of the British Empire. I'm
Yeah.
not sure everyone knows what that is.
Yeah.
Why do you get honored with that?
Significant achievement in your field. So Andy got his after he won Wimbledon in 2013, and he got his from Prince William, and it was Prince William's first ceremony that he'd presided over as a young royal. And Jamie went in October last year, and he got his from the Queen. And the Queen doesn't do so many of them now because she's 90, and she has a limit to how long she can stand apparently. So she does the smaller number ceremonies.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from the victor there, Andy Murray. News overnight that you'd been knighted, so Andy Murray into 2017.
Have you goofed around and called your own son Sir Andy yet?
No, there's no chance I'm ever doing that. None whatsoever.
Oh, come on, work with it.
No.
Does it put any pressure on him to not act up on the court? Does Andy have to worry about being a knight now and not showing his emotions?
I think that was probably one of the things that occurred to him, when it was offered to him, and I think he would have preferred to have been able to defer it until he'd finished playing. It's like everything, isn't it? It's a new experience. You have to learn to deal with it, and it is a huge honour. He's the youngest guy ever to be knighted, so that's a big thing.
Of all the things that have come your way because of the fame you've had as their mom, what has been the most fun, the thing you've enjoyed the most?
Actually, doing Strictly Come Dancing, which is your Dancing with the Stars. And when they asked me if I'd like to do it, I was like, oh, God. I just so wanted to do it. And I thought, well, I better run it past the boys first because it's a big deal. So I said to Jamie, I've been asked to do Strictly Come Dancing. And he went, oh, Mom, you love that show. Do it. You'll love it. You'll have a great time. And I said to Andy, been asked to do Strictly Come Dancing. What do you think? And he went, oh, my God, you'll be hopeless. And I think he was worried that I would be hopeless and that I would get slammed because for quite a lot of years when the boys were developing, I did get slammed by the British media a lot for being a pushy mum, and it was actually, I never let them know that it was a difficult thing for me. I never let anybody know that it was difficult because I just thought, no, just get on with it. But I decided to do it, and it was the first thing that I'd done for myself in so many years. And it was a completely new world, somebody else's world, the entertainment business. But I made so many great friends out of it, and I had the best time. I learned how to wear dressy dresses, and I got all girly. I learned to enjoy makeup and all that sort of stuff. And it was just, it gave me a lot of confidence as well, because I was rubbish at the dancing, but I didn't really care. So I think that for me, that's been one of the nicest things that's got nothing to do with tennis that's come out of it.
We talk about the fact that when Roger Federer became a father, he still played great tennis, and Novak Djokovic, same thing with him.
It's just so nice at the end of, each day that I get to go home and I get to spend time with her, and on the days off as well. It's just you know, it's a nice sort of distraction. It relieves stress as well. It's great. I've really enjoyed being a dad and yeah, just growing up, you know, all the time.
What kind of a dad is Andy?
Oh, he's great. He's absolutely loving it, and he's always been very laid back away from the court. And people, if they just know him as the competitor, they struggle to believe that. But he's always been really chilled away from the court, and if anything, he's even more chilled, but even more driven, I think, to train hard and work hard, because he realises that I'm spending so much time away from Kim and the baby. I'm absolutely going to max out on what I've got. And I think 2016 was a great case in point. The baby was born in February, and you know, he went on to have a really remarkable year, his best on the tour.
What kind of husbands are they? Do you like the way they are as married men?
Yeah, I think I do, actually. I think Jamie's been married for 5.5 years. His wife is Colombian, and it's not an easy life being the wife of a tennis player, but I think she's very family orientated.
What kind of a husband is Andy?
He's really happy. He's very, very lucky with Kim, because Kim's dad was a tennis coach on the tour, so she's used to her dad being away a lot. She isn't a tennis player herself. She's more arty and studied English. So when they're together, they're not talking about tennis. So I think they both made great choices, and I think they both got really lucky. And when I tell them that, they say, no, the girls got lucky.
Oh, there we go. That's
Yeah. We used to wrestle with each other, and Jamie would only let me win when we were fighting for the women's belt, which I thought was a little bit hard.
Yeah, we used to make like our own belts. You know, so it's like world champion, whatever. He was only allowed to win the women's one.
And who won the men's?
Me. I had all the belts.
It was like the heavyweight, like, you know, it's like the WWF or WWE it's called now. He was always 15 months older, so he was always bigger than me when we were kids, so I couldn't really dictate whether I won or not because he was stronger. When you're
playing doubles together, who's the boss? Who takes the lead?
I like to offer my opinion. Whether that gets taken on board or not.
Jamie takes the lead when we're playing doubles, that's for sure, yeah.
What kind of a big brother is Jamie Murray?
He's great, actually. He's one of the few people that can tell Andy exactly what he thinks, good and bad. You know, I think when you are a high-profile sports person, there's probably not too many people who will give you the hard truths about certain things. And Jamie is the first to just tell him exactly how it is. And that's how it should be. Your family should always be able to do that.
Tell me what that Davis Cup win did to you, did to your boys, did to Scotland and the rest of Great Britain.
It was incredible. I think, during the course of 2015, Andy had set that out as his main priority for the year, was to win the Davis Cup. And, what he put himself through in terms of playing 3 matches across 3 days, best of 5 sets, 4 times during the course of that year. The pressure is on him. If he doesn't win, we don't win. It's as simple as that at that high level. So huge emotional pressure on him always. But 2 of those ties, the one against the USA and the semi-final against Australia, were in Scotland. And to be playing in your own country in front of 8,000 people, incredible atmosphere. But to have a major world event like that in Scotland was so special, and they get piped onto the court, the bagpipers and all the rest of it, and the crowd are going nuts. It's just an incredible thing to experience.
Game with set match, Great Britain.
Of all the things, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're smiling over something, is it that more than anything, more than Rio or Wimbledon? Or is that the one because it's both your kids?
Definitely that, with both of them. there, that's what makes it very special. I mean, I never would have imagined that we would find a big tennis event like this in the East End of Glasgow, where you can't find a tennis court anywhere. And my kids are playing, and the captain is like my third son. And it was just, I mean, it was incredible. And when they won the final, I was just thinking, that's my kids. And I started thinking about how they started out, just at the tennis club at Dunblane on the artificial grass courts with the, you know, Fabrice Santoro and Jamie with his wanting to be John McEnroe. And I can't believe how far they've come. And I'm thinking, that's the Davis Cup. That's what we used to watch on the telly. And they've actually just gone and won it. It was really an amazing, amazing experience.